Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today we're going to sight in this scope. It is the CVLIFE Jackal scope. I mounted it on this Rock River Arms 16-inch AR that has a 223 wild chamber with a 1 in 8 twist. I've shot this in a couple of other videos. I made a few changes to it. I changed out the bolt carrier group. I ended up installing a different trigger in it. It has the LaRue MBT 2-stage trigger. I like supporting LaRue. They're a Texas company, and you know I like things all things Texas. I love all of the US and I love all our sister and brother states, but you know you got to support your own state as well. So this is actually the first time I'm shooting this after I've made all these adjustments to it. I don't think that should make a big difference as far as how it shoots, but I will be sighting in this scope, and this is a 3x9x40 scope with an adjustable objective. Now the adjustable objective allows you to change the parallax setting. You can see there on the front objective you have the ability to change to different distances to help you focus and avoid parallax at that particular distance. And I am here at about 30 yards. I'm going to go ahead and set this. Ooh, it actually has a 30-yard setting there, so let me put it right on the 30 yards. I've got a target down there. Let me point it out. So it's right down there at 30 yards. I'm going to be shooting some PMC bronze. It's a 55 grain full metal jacket with a boat tail. This is decent ammunition. It's certainly not any sort of precision ammunition, but for sighting in a scope, it's going to be plenty. Now, for those of you that shoot a lot, you know that if you use different weights of ammunition, they are going to have different points of impact depending on how you've sighted your rifle in. Even if you use the same weight, if it's a different bullet style, it'll probably have a slightly different point of impact. Even same weights, different brands will have different points of impact. So just like 22s, it's usually good to find out what weight of ammunition your particular rifle likes. Once you find the weight that it prefers, you maybe find the brand in that weight or the bullet style in that weight that it prefers. And if you're able to figure that out, then you go ahead and buy a case of that ammunition for that particular firearm. But we're going to sight this in. I've already mounted it. The scope did come with these scope rings and mount to the Picatinny rail. So that was very easy to mount on this rifle. I use a leveler to make sure that my scope is level and that the crosshairs are basically nice and horizontal and vertical as far as the horizon goes, so that if your bullet, you know, a lot of people don't care about that. The importance about having a nice level reticle is that at distance, especially one like this, because this is a BDC reticle that'll have different markings for different distances, and depending on the type of ammunition you're shooting, the caliber, the rifle that you're using, you can use those different markings to help you hit targets at different distances without having to change the elevation adjustments. So you want your bullet drop to go down that crosshair vertically. And if your crosshairs aren't well level and vertical, as your bullet drops, it won't go down that, you know, vertical line of your crosshair. So that's why it's very important to level your crosshairs if you can. There are different kits out there that can help you level your crosshair as far as it is concerned to your rifle. And this one is very easy because you have the flat top here with the Picatinny rail. So I put a level on here and then level the scope and make sure that they are the same. That way I know that my crosshairs should be level as far as with this rifle. Now, one mistake a lot of people make when they're sighting in a rifle is they start out at too far of a distance. Like I said, here I'm at 30 yards, and that's a good distance to start at. 25, 30 yards. Just get 2 or 3 shots on paper to make sure you're at least somewhere close to the bullseye, and then you can start heading out 50, 100, 150, 200 yards if you want, and really zero it for the particular ammunition and distance that you want to zero it for. And then once you've done that, you can check and see where your ammunition is hitting at the different markers on that BDC reticle. That way, you know, if you have it zeroed at 100, you know which marking is going to mark 200, which one's going to mark maybe 150 or 300. And so if you are hunting, you don't have to make any quick adjustments to your scope right away. Just looking at the reticle, you can see where you're going to be hitting depending on the distance you are shooting at. So I've gone ahead and loaded up 5 rounds of this PMC bronze. I'm probably only going to take 3 shots real quick here at 30 yards just to see where we're hitting and make a few adjustments. And then at that point, I'm going to go ahead and pull out to 100 yards and see if we can get this sighted in at 100 yards. So let me go ahead and get everything ready to go. So I'm ready to go ahead and take our first shots. Let me load the rifle. I've actually taken the scope caps off of the scope already. That way I can start adjusting. These are pretty nice scope caps. They seem like they're aluminum and they screw in to protect your turrets from being damaged. So let me go ahead and open up my front cap there. Make sure that I've got a nice, comfortable sight picture here. And I'm going to shoot at the center target. Okay, well, I can see through my scope. Do I have it on the highest power? Actually, I don't. I had it on 7 times magnification. I'm going to move it all the way to the highest power. Usually when you're sighting in your scope, it's best to use the highest power possible. So it looks like elevation, I'm going to put it up just a little bit. It doesn't look at 30 yards like I need to adjust it, but as I pull out, I'm going to probably experience more bullet drop. So let me go ahead and, now these are supposed to be, as you see here as I'm changing the turrets, you don't need any tools for it. You can just, twist with your hand, and they're supposed to be 1/4 inch at 100 yards. So I'm going to go ahead and move it up just 1 inch, even though I'm only at 30 yards. So it's going to be a different effect at this distance. And go ahead and move the shots left. I did 8 clicks for that. That may have been too much, not certain, but let's go ahead and squeeze off 3 more rounds. Now, I'm usually an advocate of 5-round shot groups. Even 5 rounds might not necessarily be enough, but 3 shot groups really aren't great. It's fine for the initial sight-in, but once you really want to sight in a particular ammunition, I always recommend doing at minimum 5 shot groups. Do 1, let your barrel cool off, and then do another 5 shots. So let's see how our adjustment worked here. Okay, so it looks like it did raise the point of impact a little bit, and it did drift it to the left, but not quite enough. Let's see here. From what I'm seeing here, I probably need to drift it left. Probably another, because that was, how many clicks I did? I think I did 8 clicks. So probably about 6 more clicks. So let's move it to the left, 6 more clicks. And as far as elevation, I'm not going to change it. Well, I'm certain it's going to be a different elevation at 100 yards. But for now, let's just try this and see how we do. Let me load in 3 more rounds into the magazine. And if I can get them all in the red, then I'll go ahead and move out to 100 yards and see how we're hitting from out there. So I've got my 3 rounds in the magazine. Got that, load them up. Let's see if those 6 rounds, or excuse me, the 6 clicks was sufficient or potentially too much. Let's see here. That looks like it hit the same hole. Okay, I want to hit a little low. I'm going to drift it left a little bit more, and I'm going to start letting my barrel cool down. Really, at this point, I'm on paper, I'm right next to the bullseye, so I'm fine to move out to 100 yards. But as I start shooting more rounds consecutively through this rifle, it's going to start to warm up, which is going to drift your point of impact. That's another thing to keep in mind if you're not that experienced with sighting in rifles. Depending on the size of your barrel, it's going to heat up regardless of the size of your barrel. The thicker the barrel is, it won't heat up as quickly, so you'll probably have a few more shots before your point of impact starts to drift. At the same time, the heavier barrel will take longer to cool off. The thinner barrels will heat up much quicker. In the hunting rifles, most of them tend to have thinner barrels just because you're lugging them around, and you don't want to lug a real heavy barrel around too far. Really, with those rifles, shoot 2 or 3 shots, let it cool off a good bit until you can, touch the barrel with your hand and it feels fine. And then at that point, you can take a few more shots and slowly sight it in. But let's go ahead. And at this point, I'm going to move this table out to 100 yards and we'll see where we are hitting on our target. And in fact, I think I'll put a new target up. So let me go ahead and get everything set up and we'll fire some more rounds downrange. Now here we are at 100 yards. Went ahead and put a new target up. My barrels had time to cool off. Not that it really warmed up that much with just a few rounds through it, but I wanted to make sure I had not a cold bore, but a slightly cooler bore than one that has a bunch of shots through it. I'm going to change the adjustable objective. Well, here, let me take the cap off while I do this. So I'm going to set it at 100 yards. Once again, that's to avoid parallax and to help focus the rifle for that particular distance. I know you can see a bunch of brush around me, but I do have a clear shot to the target. There's no brush between me and the bullseye, which is what's important. So let's see, I've got it at maximum magnification. Got my adjustable objective set. Let's go ahead and try to put 5 rounds on the bullseye. Okay, well, I've only fired 3 shots. I'm going to stop there because I can see that I need to drift it a little more to the left. It is hitting high, but that's to be expected. If I remember the ballistics correctly for the 223, if you're sighting it in at about 25 yards, you're going to be hitting high at 100 yards, and you should be probably closer to target again at about 150 yards. So, you know, that's one of the things as well when you're sighting in your rifle. You need to look at the trajectory of your bullet at different distances. That way, if you sight it in at a certain distance, you know exactly where you are at closer and further distances. Once again, that's something that the BDC reticle is supposed to help you with. So let me adjust a little bit to the left. Let's see, how many inches do I need to drift it? Maybe a ½ inch. And I am going to put it down because honestly with this rifle I probably wouldn't be shooting much past 100 yards anyway. So let me make sure that I'm almost at 0 at 100 yards. Let's see how much further down I need to go. Probably need to go down about 3 inches. Let's see where I'm hitting now. Put a few more rounds in the magazine, put 2 more in there, and shoot 3 more rounds and see where we are hitting. .3x9 is a great magnification for a hunting scope. It's really what I grew up using most of my life. Now, especially with the more accurate rifles I have, I tend to put up to 12 power scopes on them. And for rimfire, I go even higher than that. Just so that if I am shooting at something at 150, 200 yards, and say it's a pig or a javelina or something like that, that might be a smaller target. Not that the pigs around here are small, there are some very large pigs, but I want to really be able to hit where I'm aiming. So for an all-purpose scope, 3x9 is great. If you're doing much further shooting, then I would probably recommend going to a 12 power scope. But that's just a personal preference thing. Okay, so let's take 3 more shots and see how we are doing. This isn't the best shooting bag for an AR-15, mainly because the magazine sort of gets in the way. It doesn't allow me to snug up further into the bag like I like, but it should be fine for now. Trying to see where that one shot hit. Getting a little bit of heat effect at this distance. I cannot quite see it. So let me go ahead and fire the other couple of rounds and see where I'm hitting. Okay, that's 3 rounds. I can't quite see at this distance through this scope. So I'm going to go down and take a look at the target and see what adjustments we need to make. Well, it seems like I got my 3 shots down here, so I lowered it more than I should have. As far as windage, it's hard to tell because I'm sort of spread out a bit left and right of target. I will probably go ahead and move the point of aim up an inch, so about 4 clicks up. I'm not going to mess with windage, and we will fire 3 more rounds and see where we hit. So let me go ahead and adjust the scope here. I'm hitting too far down, so I'm going to adjust 1 inch up. Maybe I should do 1.5 inches. No, I think about 1 inch is fine. And as far as windage, I'm not going to change that at this time. Now let's see if we can get in the red. Am I heading too high again? Okay, that's 3 rounds. Let's go see where we're hitting. Well, I got 1 in the red, so that's not bad. Which one were the other 2? I didn't mark off which one. I know these were the ones before, but out of these up here, I'm pretty certain these 2 are the shots I just took. Was this the 3rd one, or was it one of these? Well, we'll know right now. I'll put an arrow to it, or you obviously know because you saw the shooting camera, the target camera. But it looks like I'm almost there. Now, as far as accuracy, obviously this ammunition I'm using isn't the most accurate in the world. You know, at 100 yards, I'm probably going to get 1.5 MOA best, and that's if I was shooting with a really great rest, which I am not. That bag is just, it's not great for a rifle that has such a large magazine. I think I had a few rounds left, so what I'm going to do, since I'm hitting slightly to the right and high, I'm going to shoot the last of the ammo I have at this target down here, just to get one more, well, just to give it one more chance to see if I can get it. I'm going to maybe click it 1 down, a 1/4 inch down, and maybe 1/2 inch to the left. So let me make those adjustments, and we'll fire our last rounds at this target down here. So let me make my final adjustments here. A little bit down. 1/2 inch to the left. And hopefully that'll do it. So let's get our last 3 rounds on paper here. Okay, like I said, not the steadiest rest. I'm doing the best I can. And I actually took this rear cap off. The caps are great, and I like having them, but sometimes I prefer not to have the rear cap on my scope when I'm really trying to hug up to the rear lens. But they are good to have on there to protect your lenses and keep dust off of them. But anyway, enough of my yapping. Let's go take a look at our target. Well, ladies and gentlemen, not bad at all. I wish I'd gotten them all in the red. That would have been great. But that being said, I got them around here. That's probably about 1.5 inches. Yeah, almost, yeah, just a little over 1 inch. That's not even quite 1.5 inches. Of these are 1 inch squares, which they should be. So not bad. Like I said, this isn't the most precise ammunition. I've actually got some decent hunting quality 223 ammunition. I'm sure that might be a tighter group. But it looks like I have it sighted in at 100 yards, which is pretty much what I need for that rifle, which most likely would be used for hogs and maybe some predators and things of that sort. But very happy with that group. So my final thoughts on this scope, they're pretty good. It obviously held up well to this center fire rifle. It is only 223 and I've only fired 20 rounds through it, but it did sight in well. And I really do like the adjustable objective. I don't know if CVLIFE offers these scopes with a higher magnification. If they did, I'd probably prefer one of those personally for my style of shooting. But like I said, for hunting purposes, for people that are going to be shooting between 50 and 150 yards, even further, if you have nice young eyes, a 3x9 is really all you need. It's all I used into almost my late 30s. It really was my 40s when my eyes started to weaken and I started getting more magnification. Now, something I didn't mention while I was filming, let me take this scope cap off the back, is that at one point I was having a little bit of an issue focusing, and I thought it was potentially heat effects or just my eyes and my glasses getting dusty, because it's a little dusty out here. But there's actually a focus knob here on the back as well that'll help focus to any issues you have with your particular eye. So as you're sighting it in, you have the adjustable objective in the front to eliminate parallax and somewhat focus the scope at distance. But as far as the focus for your eye through the scope, you have the adjustment back here as well. So it's a fully adjustable scope as far as that goes. It's a nice size. It's about the typical size of a scope of this type, where it seems durable as far as the components. My only complaint is that it's a little heavy. It is a heavier scope, but you know, when you're using thicker aluminum or things of that sort for the body of the scope to make it a tougher scope, you're going to get a little bit of a weight issue at that point. And honestly, I haven't really compared this with other scopes as far as weight wise. It may be very typical. I do shoot a lot of loop-holed scopes, and loop-holed scopes tend to be much lighter compared to other brands, which is one of the many reasons I like them so much. But those are expensive scopes, and for the price of this scope and for what you're getting, it's really a good deal. If you're a beginner in hunting, or you just bought a rifle, you don't want to put too much money on a scope yet, and you want something good, durable, that's going to help you go out and start putting rounds down range and getting some accurate shots off with your rifle, the CVLIFE scope's a really great option. But with that, thank you all for all the support you give my channel. As I always say, this is just nice little butterflies flying by. There's a lot of butterflies out here right now. But like I said, thank you for your support. This channel is a labor of love. I'm not monetized. I don't make any money for these reviews. I really just do it because I have fun doing it. And I enjoy coming out here and shooting. And I'm very happy that some of you all enjoy watching me come out here and have fun. So thank you very much. Take good care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video.